This time, Gildersleeve, the matchmaker, and the man called X goes to India. Hello there, this is Victor Ives, inviting you to join us now as we turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and present the greatest radio shows of all time on the golden age of radio theater. This time on the Great Gildersleeve, Gildy has new neighbors and decides to marry his niece off to one of them. And on The Man Called X, we visit Bengal, India.
The Great Gildersleeve. Each week at this time, from Hollywood, California, Harold Peary as the Great Gildersleeve.
Now for the Great Gildersleeve. On a fine May morning, he steps out on his veranda to survey his property and, incidentally, see what his new neighbor is up to across the street. He finds his nephew Leroy returning from reconnaissance.
Leroy?
Yeah?
Come here a minute.
What do you want?
What's going on over there? What are those men doing?
Oh, they're gardeners. One of them's cutting down the hedge.
The hedge? What for?
I don't know. Mr. Bullard just told me he wanted to cut down, that's all. He said he couldn't see.
Oh, he did he? By George, if he cuts down his hedge, I'm going to let mine grow up. I'm not going to have Bullard spying on me.
He's not spying on anybody, Unc. He's just trying to fix the place up.
Yeah?
It's going to be swell. Mr. Bullard says he's going to have those old barberry bushes ripped out and have all new planting there. Rhododendrons. He's going to fix it up swell.
Oh, he is he? Well, as a matter of fact, I've been thinking of doing some fixing up around this place. Yes.
Yeah, I know. You keep talking, but you never
I
do.
mean it. Now, those bushes there in front of the porch. Those barberry bushes. Never did like those. Too scraggly. You ought to dig them out.
All those?
Certainly. I think it would look better with something else in there. Might decide to put in some rhododendrons, maybe. Yes. Why not?
That'd be great. Well, I guess I'll be going over to...
Leroy.
Yeah?
While you're resting, my boy,
Yeah?
out in the garage to the left of the workbench, you will find a spading fork. Bring it. Yes, by George, we may not be millionaires here. We may not be able to afford a staff of gardeners. But that's no reason we can't have this place looking just as well as the Bullards.
Honest, Unc, this ground is so hard you can't even...
You're not handling the fork right, Leroy.
I'm not?
No.
You show me.
I don't need to show you. Just do as I say. Throw your weight behind it.
Why doesn't he throw his weight behind it?
Confound it, Leroy, you're not trying.
I am so.
Don't just peck at it. Here, give me that.
Okay.
No, you keep it. Keep trying.
Oh, for corn's sake. Hey, here comes Mrs. Ransom.
Oh.
Good morning, Throckmorton.
Hello, Leela.
Isn't it a lovely morning? I saw you were gardening, too, so I just had to run over. Hello, Leroy. Having fun?
Huh.
Say, you're looking mighty cute this morning, Leela.
It's my gardening hat. I just love gardening, don't you?
Love it. Keep digging, Leroy.
What are you doing here anyway, Throckmorton?
I'm digging out all these barberry bushes.
He's digging them.
My, that's quite a job.
You're not kidding. These things have roots.
What we need is more manpower here, Leroy. Where's Bertie?
You won't get her. She started spring cleaning.
Well, where's Marjorie then?
I don't know. Up in her room, I suppose.
You go up and tell her to come down.
Okay.
She spends entirely too much time in her room. Go up and tell her, Leroy. That boy has the soul of a train announcer.
Throckmorton, I noticed Mr. Bullard is fixing up his place over there, too.
So I noticed.
Well, I believe he's even got a man digging out his barberry bushes.
Yeah, well, monkey see, monkey do.
Don't you like Mr. Bullard, Throckmorton? I thought him rather charming the only time I met him.
Mr. Bullard is a snob, and you may tell him I said so, Leela. Him and his DeSoto.
I don't understand.
Well, I won't go into details. But Judge Hooker and I tried to pay him a neighborly visit the other day when he was moving in his furniture, and the guy was too busy to speak to us.
Well, of course, there's nothing worse than moving.
That's all right. He needn't speak to us if he don't want to. But just wait till he wants a favor. Wait till they really move into that house and he wants to get his water turned on. Ha! He'll darn well wait his turn. He'll be lucky if he gets water by July. He'll be lucky if he doesn't have to bring it in on donkey back. In goat skins.
Oh, here's Marjorie. Good morning, Marjorie.
Hello, Mrs. Ransom. Uncle Mort Leroy said you told me to come downstairs.
That's true, my dear. I did.
Well, here I am. What do you want?
I want you to get outdoors. Get some fresh air. Enjoy yourself. Here it is, a nice day.
Is that what you got me down here for?
Well, I think it's bad for you to stay cooped up in your room all the time.
Your uncle's right, Marjorie. It's not good to stay indoors all the time. You're looking pale.
Yes. Look at Mrs. Ransom. Look at the color in her cheeks. Why don't you be like her?
Uncle Mort, you won't let me use rouge, and you know it.
Well.
Now, my dear, I'm afraid you misunderstood. I just don't want you locking yourself up in your room all the time.
Will you kindly tell me what else there is to do in this town?
Well, lots of things.
Name one.
Well, you could do a little gardening.
I loathe and despise gardening.
Oh, but gardening can be fun. Now, Leroy's been helping me here.
Yes, and why do you think he's hiding upstairs right now?
Why, the little...
Here's Leroy now.
Yeah, you see?
Hey, everybody, listen to this. Dear Diary.
Leroy!
What isn't there worth living for? There's not a boy in this town you can have an intelligent discussion with.
Leroy!
All the cute ones are in the army, and all the intelligent ones are
Leroy, give me that!
Leroy!
Okay.
Leroy, I hate you.
What did I do?
I think you're all hateful, all of you.
Why, Marjorie, honey.
Don't honey me. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's sympathy.
What's the matter with her?
She's going up to her room again, Unc.
Yes, young man, and you're going up to yours.
Oh,
And wait for me there.
gosh, Unc. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. Just found the diary lying there, and I thought you'd like to hear it, so I just threw, okay, I'll go.
I'm sorry, Leela. Marjorie should have apologized.
Oh, that's all right, Throckmorton. She's not herself, that's all.
I'm worried about that girl. I don't understand her. All she does is stick around the house and mope and read. Too much reading isn't good for a girl at that age. It gives them ideas.
I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't worry, Throckmorton. She'll forget it all. Gracious, I've forgotten every word I ever read. Tell me, how old is Marjorie?
Why, let's see. She's 16, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no wonder.
No wonder what.
Down where I come from, Throckmorton, girls start getting married when they're 14.
Huh?
And at 15, they worry about being old maids.
I don't see what that's got to do with Marjorie.
Did it ever occur to you that she might be human?
Huh?
Think it over, Throckmorton.
From May 6, 1945, you're listening to the Golden Age of Radio Theater, presenting The Great Gildersleeve. Now back to the Great Gildersleeve and his nuptial notions.
My little Marjorie. I wonder if Leela's right.
Mr. Gildersleeve, that Mr. Bullard from across the street's here.
Mr. Bullard, what does he want?
I don't know, sir. Shall I tell him you stepped out?
No, send him in. I've been waiting for this. This is the moment.
Yes, sir.
He thinks he's going to get his water turned on. He's got another
Oh,
guess.
come right in, Mr. Bullard. Mr. Gildersleeve says he's been waiting for you.
I didn't tell her to say that.
Well, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Oh, good day.
Excuse me, I'll just get my vacuum cleaner out of your way here.
I just dropped over, Mr. Gildersleeve, to say that I'm afraid I owe you an apology.
Oh? I don't know what for.
For my behavior the other evening when you dropped by. I'm afraid perhaps I seemed a little abrupt.
I didn't notice anything.
Well, I didn't mean to. But I'd had the devil's own time. You know, moving day, worst darn thing in the world. The wife usually takes care of those sort of things, but, say, this is a nice place you've got here.
Well, it's not as large as some.
Well, I like it. Comfortable. Shows real taste. None of this modern stuff.
Well, thanks. Will you sit down?
Well, I don't care if I do. I don't suppose you'd smoke a cigar.
Don't care if I do.
I like a man who smokes a cigar.
I never trust a man who doesn't.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I can see that you and I are going to get along together.
I'll tell you after I've smoked the cigar.
So, as I say, we haven't got the place straightened out yet, but we're moving in today anyway, the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, I hope you and your wife are going to like it here in Summerfield.
Oh, we'll like it. I was brought up in this town, you know. The only one I'm concerned about is my oldest boy, Marshall. He's been going to prep school in the East, and now he's switching to public school, and, well, it'll do him good, I say. May knock some notions out of his head.
How old did you say he was?
17. Very difficult age.
You're telling me. I have a niece here who's 16.
Well, that's fine. Maybe we can get them together one of these days, huh?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well, mighty glad to meet you, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Mighty glad to meet you, Mr. Bullard.
I expect we'll be seeing a lot of each other now that we're neighbors.
Yes, indeedy. Now that you know the way, come often.
You know, I'll tell you something. The first time I saw you across the street, I didn't think I was going to like you.
I'm going to tell you something. I didn't think I was going to like you either.
Well, it just goes to show. Oh, by the way.
Yes?
You said you were with the water department, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm in charge of it.
Well, I feel like a fool. I forgot to do anything about getting my water turned on, and
now... don't give it a thought. The whole thing will be attended to.
You sure you don't mind?
Mr. Bullard, it'll be a distinct pleasure. I'll even waive the customary deposit. Nice fellow. Yes, by George, as nice a fellow as you'd want to meet. And with all that money.
Mind if I dust around you, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Oh, go right ahead, Bertie. I'll just sit here and enjoy my cigar.
Yes, sir.
Given to me by Mr. Bullard. Custom made. He buys them in lots of 500.
He seems real nice, that Mr. Bullard.
Nice a fellow as you'd want to meet. Rich, too. Tells me he has a son Marjorie's age.
Is that a fact? I ain't seen him around.
Well, the family's not arriving till this afternoon. Our little Marjorie's growing up, you know, Bertie.
Well, it happens to all of them.
Yeah, I suppose she'll be getting married one of these days.
You thinking of man off that Bullard family, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Yeah. Well, she could do worse.
I guess they got plenty of money if that's what you want.
Oh, I wouldn't want anything for myself, Bertie. Any kind of financial settlement or anything. That would be out. But I might go and visit them now and then after they were married.
I bet.
By George, they'd make a handsome couple, you know it.
You ain't even laid eyes on the boy yet, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Well, if he's anything like his father, what a wedding. Champagne, flowers by the carload, a 3-piece orchestra, articles in all the newspapers. And there I'd be in my full dress suit giving away the bride.
And me in the new dress uniform giving away a wedding cake.
Hallelujah. Well, where's Peavy? An early summer nap, I guess. Oh, Peavy. Peavy.
Ow!
Sorry to disturb you, Peavy.
You, Mr. Gildersleeve. What can I do for you this afternoon?
Peavy, how do you think you're going to get anywhere in business if you spend your time asleep in the back room? You'll never get rich that way.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
I suppose you're going to say you weren't asleep.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I was leaning back in the chair out there, and I may have dropped off just a minute. What time is it?
3 o'clock.
Back room must be stuffy. I went out there about 12:30. Now, sir, what can I do for you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I wasn't going to buy anything, Peavy. But seeing I woke you up...
Well, you don't have to buy anything, Mr. Gildersleeve. I'm much obliged to you.
Well, I just wanted to talk to you. I'm thinking of marrying my niece Marjorie.
Well, I hope you'll be very happy. What did you say?
Peavy, I'm thinking of marrying her off to somebody else.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a little old for her. Now I think of it, she's a little young to get married, isn't she?
Well, I don't know. Her mind seems to be full of nothing but nonsense about love. Maybe the only way to cure it is to let her get married.
What makes you think that'll cure it?
Well, a married woman soon learns that life is a matter of bringing up children and running a household, not dreaming about romance.
She does?
Well, gosh, doesn't she?
Mr. Gildersleeve, last week I caught Mrs. Peavy cutting a picture of Sonny Tufts out of a magazine.
You don't say.
In fact, and I gave her quite a talking to. My gracious, woman, I said, why don't you pick someone your own age, like Barry Fitzgerald, I said. And she said he was too old for her. Made me kind of shy about the whole thing up.
Well, I'm tired of arguing with Marjorie. Let her argue with her husband.
Have you anyone in mind, or are you just looking around?
Well, I understand Rumson Bullard has a boy about 17, my new neighbor.
I thought you weren't speaking to him.
Listen, Rumson Bullard is a fine fellow, and don't let anybody tell you different. I want to see the cigar he gave me this morning.
No.
Well, he's got this boy, Peavy. Now, he and Marjorie, they're both about the same age, and they live right across the street from each other. The only problem is how to get them together.
Mr. Gildersleeve, I'd say all you have to do is just let nature take its course.
Nature? That's no way.
No, I wouldn't say that. Nature's a powerful force, Mr. Gildersleeve. Look at Niagara Falls. Drip, drip, drip for 3,000 years, but she made it.
I don't want Marjorie to wait 3,000 years, Peavy. Besides, if I just let nature take its course, how do I know that Marjorie won't marry some fellow that plays a saxophone and hasn't got a dime? You never know how a woman's mind is going to work.
Mr. Gildersleeve, you said it.
Well, what am I going to do, Peavy?
Don't ask me, ask a woman.
But you've been through all this. I mean...
Mr. Gildersleeve, I don't know anything about women. I just married one.
You're listening to the Golden Age of Radio Theater, presenting The Great Gildersleeve with Hal Perry. Now back to The Great Gildersleeve.
Anyway, what I'm trying to tell you, Leela, is that I think you're right. Marjorie ought to get married, and I've picked out the man.
Oh, Throckmorton, how exciting. Who is he?
Rumson Bullard's older boy. I was wrong about Bullard. Nice family.
Well, how old is the boy?
17. That's a little young, of course. Yeah, Marjorie's known boys her own age before, and they've never even tried to hold her hand.
Really? George William Hungerford asked me to marry him on his 17th birthday. Course, I had to help him a little.
Well, I may have to help out Bullard's boy.
Oh, you can't do it, silly. Marjorie's the only one that can help him.
Well, how? How did you get George William Hungerford to pop the question?
Don't you wish you knew, Throckmorton?
Well, was George William the first one that asked you?
Of course he was. Oh, no, wait a minute. He wasn't either. Mercy, I'd forgotten all about poor Custis Dupree.
What happened to Custis?
He was the first one. His voice cracked in the middle of it.
Look, Leela, what I want to know is how you brought these fellows to the point.
Well, now, let me see. Custis was easy. I just dared him to kiss me. But George William was more difficult. He was simply mad about horseback riding.
Well, what's that got to do with it?
Made things very complicated. He used to take me out riding, but every time we'd be riding along nice and cozy, side by side, and he'd start to get serious, that horse of his would rear up and gallop off down the path.
Well, then why didn't you make George William stay home and sit in the parlor?
He was hopeless in the parlor.
Tongue-tied?
And handcuffed. But I figured it out. One day we were out riding. I made my horse run away. I galloped away from George William, and as soon as I was out of sight, I got off and gave him a slap, and off he went for home.
George William?
No, the horse. When George William caught up with me, I told him I'd been thrown.
Leela, you're a devil. I suppose you cried, huh?
No, I was brave. I don't look my best when I cry. Anyway, he picked me up. He was terribly strong and just swung me up on the saddle, and then he got up behind me, and we rode home.
But what made him propose?
Oh, my goodness, Throckmorton, he had his arms around me for 14 miles.
By George. Let's go horseback riding sometime, Leela.
What for?
Well, you're right. Why go horseback riding unless you're hopeless in the parlor? Come here, Leela.
Throckmorton.
What's the matter?
I'm afraid you've forgotten what you came over for. It's Mr. Bullett's boy that needs the help, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Although if he's anything like you, Marjorie will need it.
Now, Leela, I've always been a gentleman.
Well, I suppose as Yankees go.
Gosh, I hope Bullard's boy don't need anything as complicated as a runaway horse to get him started. But if that's what he needs, by George, he'll have it. Well, Bertie, supper smells good.
Shoulder of lamb, Mr. Gildersleeve. Mighty funny, all of a sudden all the lambs got shoulders, none of them got legs.
Well, the legs have gone to war, Bertie. Where's Marjorie?
She's out in the backyard with some boy.
Some boy. What boy?
I don't know who he is, Mr. Gildersleeve. They just out there sitting in the swing talking. You can see him from the window here.
Huh? Where? Let me see, Bertie. Well, I don't like his looks. I'll send him home, that's all. Gee, wait a minute. Maybe that's young Bullard. Is that who it is, Bertie?
I don't know, Mr. Gildersleeve. Leroy might know.
By George, the kid looks like Bullard. I wonder... Leroy! Leroy here?
Yes, he's around somewhere.
Leroy!
You calling me, Unc?
Yes. Who's that boy out there with Marjorie, you know?
That's Marshal Bullard. He came over about half an hour ago.
Well. Maybe nature's not so bad after all.
Huh?
Nothing, Leroy. That's all, my boy.
Okay. Gosh, I thought he wanted me to do something.
Well, Bertie, that's the young man. Marshall. Marshall and Marjorie. Make a fine-looking couple, don't they?
They might in a few years.
Oh, sooner than that, Bertie, sooner than that. By George, I think I'll just tiptoe out there and see how they're doing.
Do you like music, Marshall?
Yeah.
I'm crazy about Brahms and Chopin. Do you like that kind of music?
Oh, I like classical music, but not for a steady diet.
Well, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I'm not exclusively classical.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Marjorie. I'm not knocking classical.
Oh, no. I love the Basie record of 1 O'Clock Jump.
All his records are great.
I think so, too.
I saw him in New York once, at Radio City.
Did you? Gee, I've only heard his record.
He looks just like his picture. Do you like Artie Shaw?
I like him pretty well. Do you?
Yeah, pretty well. Do you like to read?
Oh, I read all the time. Do you like poetry?
Pretty well.
Oh, brother, they'll never get anywhere this way. Well, Marjorie, I didn't know you were out here. Oh, company.
Hello, Uncle Mort. This is Marshall Bullard. This is my uncle, Mr. Gildersleeve.
How do you do, Mr. Gildersleeve?
Well, my boy. Sit down. I'm delighted to meet you. Glad to have you in the neighborhood. I guess Marjorie's glad, too. Aren't you, Marjorie?
Sure, I guess so.
Why don't you sit over there with Marjorie, my boy, and I'll sit on this side. I'm getting a little, stout.
Oh, you're not really Uncle Mort.
Nice girl.
That's okay. I'll stand up.
Stand up? You're not afraid of my niece, are you?
Oh, Uncle Mort.
Huh? Your dad and I are going to be great friends, Marshall, and we want you to feel at home over here.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Yeah. Say, why don't you stay for supper tonight? Glad to have you.
Oh, no, I don't think I'd better.
Why not? Come on. Coax him, Marjorie.
Why should I?
Marjorie?
I think I'd better be going. Mr. Gildersleeve, it's probably my supper time, too.
Well, come back afterwards.
Oh, he can't tonight, Uncle Mort.
Why not?
I have to do my homework.
Homework? Well, I'll tell you. How'd you both like to go horseback riding tomorrow, huh? Do you like horseback riding, Marshall?
I like it pretty well.
Oh, I've never been on a horse in my life, and you know it, Uncle Mort.
Why, Marjorie.
Gosh, neither have I.
Well, you can learn together. We'll get 2 nice, gentle horses, and you can take a long ride in the country.
I won't do it.
Marjorie.
You'd better go now, Marshall. Maybe I'll see you around.
Huh? Oh, sure. Well, good night.
Wait a minute.
Good night, Mr. Gildersleeve.
There he goes. Marjorie, look what you've done.
What I've done? You're the stupidest uncle a girl ever had. And you're fat, too.
Oh! You go in the house. Marjorie. Marjorie, if I've done anything I'm sorry. It was all my fault. I guess I just haven't any tact, that's all. I guess I'm just a blundering idiot. I guess I'm just a fat old fool. But you don't have to sit there and agree with me.
We were getting along so nicely. And now he'll never come back again.
Don't you worry. I'll fix it all up for you.
Oh,
Well, you cheer up right now, young lady, or I will.
no. Oh, no, please. I'll be all right. I'm fine now. I feel wonderful. Promise you won't say anything to Marshall.
All right. All right, George, don't tell me I don't know how to handle kids. Good night, everybody.
Well, so much for the great Gildersleeve's attempt to marry his niece Marjorie off to Marshall Bullard, the new neighbors in Summerfield. The Golden Age of Radio Theater will continue in just a moment. The Golden Age of Radio Theater continues now with The Man Called X in this broadcast from February 3rd, 1951.
Herbert Marshall as The Man Called X. Wherever there is mystery, intrigue, romance, in all the strange and dangerous places of the world, there you will find The Man Called X. Off the east coast of India lies Bengal Bay, a vast and rolling tropic sea stretching 1,000 miles from the mouths of the Ganges southward to Ceylon, Sumatra, and the Indian Ocean. Many an adventurer of the past sleeps damply beneath its dark waves, and even now on starless nights, others of the living go to join the dead.
Steady, keep the searchlight on that fishing dhow.
Yes, sir. Still no sign of life on board. Scared, I guess.
Yeah, I imagine. Better fire another shell into it.
Okay, sir.
Try for the waterline.
Right.
On target. Steady, all.
Steady this.
Blew her right out of the water.
Good shooting, Gronko. Ahoy the tower. Prepare to submerge. Lash the gun and let's go below.
Prepare to submerge.
Oh, yeah, I'd better take that flag down. We may need it again.
We sure didn't need it tonight. Not a single survivor again.
It's better that way. Survivors mean witnesses. Witnesses mean trouble.
You mean trouble spelled with an X?
It's always a possibility. Let's go below.
I know, Ken. I know it sounds fantastic, but it's happened. There's the cable from Calcutta.
The third ship in 6 months to leave Calcutta and disappear somewhere in the Bay of Bengal. Guess I better read the cable, Chief.
Now, later, Ken. Here's the story in brief. This Muhammad Lal had been fishing in the Andamans and was beating north for Calcutta in a sailing dhow. Around midnight, he noticed the lights of a freighter coming from the northwest. It was still 4 or 5 miles away when it suddenly blew up. A tremendous blast.
And sank immediately, is that it?
Yes. By the time he reached the spot, there was only a few pieces of wreckage and this submarine.
Cruising around on the surface and machine gunning survivors. Chief, if that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, Lal was smart enough to grab a life jacket and slip over the side of his boat and swim away from it. A few minutes later, the sub picked it up in a searchlight and sank it with a couple of shells.
Oh, it's quite a story.
Listen. Lal claims he saw something in the searchlight. That sub was flying an American flag.
What? Chief, you don't suppose they're trying to use that angle now?
I don't know, Ken, but we've got to find out.
Right.
I checked with the Navy just to cover. They've got one light carrier on maneuvers in the Andaman Islands. Indian government observers aboard. No subs.
Hiding under an American flag. Machine gunning survivors.
Hello, Mr. Thurston. I just happened to be... How do you do, Mr. Chief?
Zagon Zellschmidt. By heavens, when it isn't Pagon, it's cousin Zagon.
Oh, sure. I guess we're just a friendly type.
Not with me, Zagon. Now get out.
I just got here. Hey, what is this big map on the table?
Get out.
The Bay of Bengal. Boy, is that an ocean for you. I used to be a steward on the Georgia line from Cairo to Calcutta.
I don't care what you used to be. If you
Chief, I'll have Miss Brooks check the airlines right away.
All right, Ken.
I want to get Calcutta fast.
I wonder what ever happened to that girl.
Zagon. Are you aware of the fact that you and I are alone?
We are? Oh, well, I suppose that's the way... We are? Now, look, Mr. Chief, let's keep our tempers. Let's not be hasty. Let's not... Mr. Thurston! Mr. Thurston! For you, Mr. Thurston, I would be only too happy to lay down my life, within limits, of course, but this is different. This is work.
Zagon, the only reason I brought you with me to Calcutta is because you said you'd worked as a steward once.
But it was only temporary.
That's all this is. You don't have to make a career of it now. The Bangalore sails day after tomorrow.
Why don't you get that Muhammad Lal to be a steward?
Because he's dead.
Huh? I thought he was doing okay.
He was, until his wife came to visit him this morning.
The old battle-axe, huh?
Oh, very pretty, according to the hospital authorities. Strange thing, though, Zagon.
What do you mean, strange?
I did some checking up on Muhammad Lal. He wasn't married.
You can count on my cooperation to the fullest extent, Mr. Thurston, and the entire facilities of my ship. But I must confess the whole thing seems a bit fantastic. A pirate submarine.
3 freighters have disappeared without a trace, Captain Macon.
I know, but still... Well, we'll sail in a few minutes now.
Captain Macon.
Yes, what is it, Mr. Winslow?
Sparks has Batavia on short wave, sir. I think you wanted to talk with the port agent there.
If you'll excuse me, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, of course, yes. See you later.
Hello.
Well...
I hope you don't disapprove of informal introductions between fellow passengers. I'm Carla Reaver.
I'm Ken Thurston. How do you do, Miss Reaver?
Has your table been assigned yet?
Oh, I'm at the captain's, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yours, too?
Why else would I say how nice?
Miss Reaver, I'm beginning to form a very high opinion of the cuisine on the Bangalore.
Oh, there you are. Hello, Mr. Thurston.
I beg your pardon?
Huh? What is this, I beg your pardon, stuff?
You seem to have the advantage of me, steward.
Advantage? Steward? What? Oh, you remember, Mr. Thurston, the George line. Delschmidt, I worked on B deck.
Of course, Cairo to Calcutta run. Well, small world, isn't it?
You said it, and crazy, too.
It's stored here in the midship hold, Mr. Thurston. Just a second. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Now over this way. Captain Macon told me why you're aboard, but I don't see what this 5-ton shipment of candles has to do with it.
That's what I want to find out, Mr. Winslow. Every one of those missing ships also carried 5 ton of candles.
Here we are. It's these cases stacked at the sides.
Right against the hull. Let's open one of these cases. On my responsibility, of course.
All right. I guess I can pry the top off with this bar. I can't see any connection between the submarine attack and candles. There you are.
Let's see now. That look like a candle, Mr. Winslow?
No, it doesn't. Why, it's...
Yeah, that's right. 5 tons of it. Well, let's close it up again. Who is it? Come on out of there.
All right, I'm coming. Just keep your... Hello, Mr. Thurston.
Oh, for the...
Steward, what are you doing down here in the hold?
Oh, just catching up on a little sleep.
What?
Oh, no, I'm not really a steward. I'm just... You tell him, Mr. Thurston.
Tell him what?
But...
I never saw you before in my life.
But...
What have you got in your pocket?
This, just a little pussycat, see? Kitty, kitty, atta-pata-pata, atta-pata. The cook gave him to me.
I don't care who gave it to you. Get rid of it, and then get back to work.
Now, listen, sir, Commodore. Hey, Admiral.
Oh, shut up. Someone's coming in.
But, I didn't know anyone was here.
Passengers aren't allowed below decks, Mr. Humphrey.
Ridiculous. Red tape. Just doing a bit of sightseeing, you know. Besides, you're wrong. Mr. Thurston's a passenger. He's here.
Mr. Thurston requested special permission from the captain. I suggest you do the same.
Stuffy attitude. Suit yourself, though. I'll go. Ship's officers, little tin gods. Good day, gentlemen.
Hey, maybe he wanted to look at them cases I was sleeping on.
Could be.
How come all the excitement about them? What have they got in them?
Dynamite.
Oh, dynamite.
Got a bucket of water handy, Mr. Winslow. Well, Zagon, you decided to take over my cabin?
Oh, Mr. Thurston, you are looking at a worn-out brake horse. Oh, I should have stayed in New York.
Oh, there are worse jobs.
That first mate Winslow guy is nothing but a Silas McGee.
Oh, sure. What do you do with your cat?
Oh, he's playing around in here someplace. He got thirsty, so I gave him a drink of water out of... Hey, I found out something, Mr. Thurston.
Huh?
We got a stowaway on board.
Stowaway?
Well, not exactly, because the captain knows about it. He gave the chief steward strict orders not to disturb whoever is in cabin 41.
Cabin 41, eh? See if we can find out who it is.
Oh, I'll be only too happy. How much?
Never mind how much. We'll talk about that when... Zagon?
What's the matter, Mr. Thurston?
Where did you get that drink of water you gave the cat?
Why, out of this pitcher, here on the table by your bed. I didn't think you mind.
I don't. The cat's lying here dead.
We'll return to the man called X in just a moment. I see Zagan is still with us. I wonder what's happening with Pagan. Well, maybe we'll find out in the next episode. Back now to the man called X.
9 o'clock at night, and the freighter Bangalore plows steadily southward through the warm swells of the Indian Ocean. On board, 5 tons of dynamite, a mysterious passenger, a dead cat, and a poisoner. Ahead, waiting somewhere in the darkness, a submarine, violence, and death.
I'm always such a fool on an ocean voyage. About friendships, I mean. Rest of the world so far away, nothing seems to matter but just living.
But the rest of the world still exists, even if it is far away.
No, not for me. When I close the door of cabin 25, that's my word.
What's that, Miss Reaver? 25's your cabin?
Yes, I'm a next-door neighbor to Mr. Thurston.
That's right. I'm in 26.
Well, my neighbor, too, then. 27's mine. Miss Reaver and I have you hemmed in, old boy.
Right between Scylla and Charybdis.
Between...
Pardon me.
Oh.
Here is your coffee, Mr. Thurston.
Thanks, steward.
What about the captain?
Meet me outside on the deck, Mr. Thurston. I got a hot tea.
Right, Zagon.
Maybe you can tell us, Mr. Thurston, the captain. Why doesn't he show up for dinner?
Oh, I don't know, Mr. Humphrey. Navigation problems, I suppose. The Indian Ocean isn't quite as tame as it seems.
Oh, but you're wrong, old boy. Still in the Bay of Bengal, you know. Northeast of the Andaman Islands, if I'm correct.
I imagine you are, Mr. Humphrey. You excuse me, I think I'll go on deck, get some air.
Eh? I say now, touch his own tent. No intention.
Over here, Mr. Thurston.
All right, Zagon, what's up?
Well, it's the stowaway I was telling you about. I got a look at him. Guess who, Mr. Thurston?
Who?
It's that harbor guy in Calcutta, Inspector Ram Singh.
Inspector. It's Ken Thurston, Inspector. Open up.
Come in, Mr. Thurston. I suppose the captain told you.
No, just a hunch. One of those mysterious hunches of the Orient. You get a sudden desire for an ocean trip, Inspector?
Your attitude is most interesting, Mr. Thurston.
Glad you like it.
It implies a distrust of me, whereas I am here because of distrusting you.
Well, we could go over my credentials again.
Credentials? In the Orient, there is nothing so easy to obtain as false credentials.
Like those of a harbor inspector, for example?
I have held the job for 10 years, Mr. Thurston. Quite a length of time to fool the man who signs my paychecks.
All right, then. Let's assume we're both here for the same reason.
Good. I have one lead of my own I might mention. There's a steward aboard who's been acting very strange.
I think I know the one you mean. A short fellow. Speaks with an accent.
That's the one. He's always prowling about, seldom does any work at all.
I believe you've hit on something there, Inspector. It sounds definitely suspicious. Watch him.
Perhaps I should have told you that Inspector Singh was aboard, Mr. Thurston. But frankly, not knowing you, I felt it just as well to have two independent investigators.
Mistrust seems to be fairly common in this part of the world, Captain Macon.
No, it's not that. But I'm responsible for this ship. The passengers, cargo, and crew. And when I think about what could happen, well...
What about the passengers? Know anything about any of them?
No, they're all strangers. Except Mr. Humphrey, of course. He's sailed with me before.
I see.
Inspector Singh may know some of them. Under the circumstances, I suppose you'll work together.
We're doing it already. We're watching Zagar.
But I don't see what...
Time for your relief, Captain.
All right, Mr. Winslow, take over the bridge. The log's up, and everything is in order, so far. You'll excuse me, Mr. Thurston?
Of course.
Good night, gentlemen.
The captain's a good man, but he's certainly jittery on this trip.
Well, he may have reason to be.
That's the trouble. Not knowing when they'll make their play or even if they'll make it.
They'll make it. I'll lay odds on that. When they're left to witness to the sinking of the Mozambique,
What is it, Mr. Thurston?
Turn off the bridge lights. I want to open this window.
All right. There. What do you see?
Somebody's flashing a light down there on the boat deck.
Why, that's international code.
Yeah. Check it with me. ONIG. Tonight at...
TWOAM.
Tonight at 2 a.m. And there's an answering flash from across the water.
The submarine.
Well, we know when. All we have to find out is how. And then stop it.
Number 26. This is it. Do you have those passkeys?
Yeah, right here.
Wait a second. The fool. It isn't even locked. Come on. Sound asleep. All right, Crunko. Take care of him.
A pleasure. Now, his head ought to be about right here, so I'll swing from the side here like this. Yeah, that's all for Mr. X. You want me to finish him off?
Why bother? In a half hour, they'll all be finished off. Let's go to work.
Sparks isn't in there. The wireless room's empty.
It doesn't matter. The important thing is to smash that radio. We can take care of Sparks later. Come on. Tear off the mic and the key first, Crunko, and then we...
Insomnia, Inspector?
Thurston.
But I slugged him.
It can't be insomnia. You're dreaming. All right, Mr. Winslow, put the cuffs on them.
Okay, boys, turn around.
Me, you don't.
I said hold it. All right.
Poor Crunko. I much prefer the handcuffs. Mr. Winslow.
You're opposed to personal violence, Inspector.
Only when it has no chance of succeeding. I'm a fatalist, Mr. Thurston. Influence of the Orient.
I'll get it. Wireless room, Thurston. Good. All right, Captain. Take him to the lounge. I'll meet you there. The boys in the hold just caught two men setting a time detonator on the dynamite. There's still been no move in the strong room. Singh, who else is in with you?
I fear I won't be much help to you, Mr. Thurston. I don't feel very talkative.
Too bad. We might have had an interesting conversation about your next move, for instance. Breaking open the strong room and then using one of the ship's boats to get out there to the submarine before the explosion.
What about that sub, Mr. Thurston? Suppose they get suspicious and try to board us.
Well, it's 1:46 now. They'll probably stand by for another 15 or 20 minutes at least. That's enough time. Maybe you'd better open up the radio and make contact.
All right, sir. Then you want me to search that cabin, right?
Right. I'll see you in the lounge. Well, Inspector, pick up your friend and let's go join the party.
Gentlemen, we can't just sit here and do nothing, you know.
No.
Hostile submarine out there, that sort of thing.
You can rest assured, Mr. Humphrey, steps are being taken.
What steps, Captain? We surely have a right to know what's being done for our protection.
I really couldn't say, Miss Reaver. That is,
What Captain Macon means is that I'm taking the steps.
Well, now, that's very interesting, Mr. Thurston. Official position of some sort, I suppose?
Yes, of some sort.
I still don't understand what it's all about. Those four men, the ones you're holding prisoner.
Yes, yes, by Jove. Passengers, all of them, rubbing elbows with us.
Let's say criminals posing as passengers, Mr. Humphrey. Part of the same gang that's manning that submarine.
But who is manning it? After all, we're not at war.
Maybe Inspector Singh can answer that.
Words still seem to fail me, Mr. Thurston.
Right, then I'll make a guess. A German U-boat that was operating in the Arabian Sea or the Persian Gulf at the time of the surrender and remained unreported. Some of the crew must have stayed with it and kept it in commission. Possibly hiding out along the East African coast. Right, Inspector?
I think I hear plane motors, Mr. Thurston.
Good, right on time. Anyway, by some means or other, the sub-crew contacted Inspector Singh at Calcutta, made a deal with him, and went into business. Piracy. Singh was in a position to pick out the ships for them, supply course data, plant accomplices on board, and so on. It worked 3 times in a row. And the Bangalore was intended to be the 4th victim. Also the last, probably. Since they let a witness get away and the heat was on.
I say now, what is this, Mr. Thurston? Where do those planes come from?
They're light bombers from a U.S. carrier on maneuvers in the Andaman Islands. I radioed for help.
Look, they're dropping flares on the water. And there's the sub.
Yeah, surfaced. And with half the crew on deck. Caught cold.
Oh, yes, by heaven, they're going to fight. They've manned the deck gun.
Chance.
The planes are circling back. Oh, there's the first one now, coming in for a bomb run. Close.
Come on in, Mr. Winslow.
Things are getting a little exciting. Well, I found it, Mr. Thurston, right where you said.
Good.
Missed again. They've cleared the deck. Looks like they're going to submerge.
There's still 2 things that haven't been explained. Mohammed Lau's death in the Calcutta hospital and the poisoning of Zagon's cat.
Oh, come now. Hardly the time to track down cat killers, old boy.
I think it is the time, Mr. Humphrey. Particularly since the poison used in both cases has just been found in Miss Reaver's cabin.
What? Oh, well, that's ridiculous. You surely can't
It's
think
really
that I
no
have been...
use, Carla. Mr. Thurston holds all the cards. I've often told you, one had to be a fatalist in this sort of game. She was most valuable, Mr. Thurston, in keeping the pursers of the ships occupied.
Yes, I imagine.
Thurston, look, dead center. No more sub.
No more sub. And no more American flag being used to cover up somebody's crooked game. That was your big mistake, Singh. Trying to confuse witnesses by using that flag. Been tried before, and it may be again. But it never works. You're right about one thing, though. The man who plays that game had better be a fatalist. Because that's a game that's always fatal.
From February 3rd, 1951, the Golden Age of Radio Theater has presented The Man Called X. In just a moment, we'll answer a question about Sammy Kaye. A listener from Napa, California wants to know, wasn't there a radio program in which the audience got to lead a band? Well, I think you're referring to the program So You Want to Lead a Band, which starred Sammy Kaye. Remember Swing and Sway with Sammy Kaye? Audience members were invited to lead the band. It was comical and paid off in prizes. And I don't suppose it was a very expensive program to produce. Well, that's all we've produced for this Golden Age of Radio Theater. This is Victor Ives speaking, thanking you for being with us and inviting you to join us again as we turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and present the greatest radio shows of all time.
For a copy of today's program, call 1-800-326-0296 and refer to show number 4. That number again is 1-800-326-0296. And remember to refer to show number 4.